This is Hemant.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist Podcast. Please go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast to support the show and get your ad-free and bonus episodes. And if you are a $5 Patreon subscriber, you are currently watching us on video.
It's me.
So go do that right now. Mm-hmm. And happy birthday to Jess. This is something I learned 5 seconds ago because we've been celebrating for a month.
First of all, he hasn't celebrated for a moment, so don't let him lie to you like this. But listen, this morning, I did throw up because of my meds. I fell off a horse, and Hemant came 10 minutes early, so I had to run down in a towel. So it's been a fucking great day so far. But yeah.
But I got 40. You a birthday present.
Oh, yeah. Did you? Is it a lot of terrible stories?
It is one great story for you. And it's the only one every single listener of this podcast has messaged me about since last week. Because when we recorded this week ago, we finished recording. As soon as I leave the news breaks that Ryan Walters, the superintendent of public instruction in Oklahoma and the guy in charge of the public schools, is resigning. Or so the rumor went a week ago. Yeah. And we can now confirm, this is October 1st as we're recording this. Yesterday, he submitted his official resignation letter.
Yesterday he did.
Formally.
Got you.
And today he's out.
Bye.
And so this is a long time coming. Basically, what happened last week is a couple media outlets reported that, hey, we are hearing rumblings that this guy's going to leave, which seems weird because, one, he had over a year and a half left in his term. He's not up for re-election until the end of 2026. Position, it is elected. Position. So he could have stayed here for a year and a half. It seemed like he liked all the attention he gets for everything always, because that's the only reason he does this job. Right. Because anytime he puts out a press release, he knows it'll get a hit on Fox News, and that's all he wants in life. He does not care about the children.
No.
And so it's like, okay, a couple media outlets are reporting this, and you know how I thought, they might have something here. Because these are not big media outlets, even if they're not illegitimate. Okay. I'm just like, I'm not used to getting my breaking news from you. So I don't know if I should trust this. But the reason,
who are we talking about? Are we talking about politicos in Oklahoma or something?
There's a digital news outlet that's a national one, but it's relatively new. So it's like, I know you have good staffers, but also I'm not used to you breaking stories, that sort of thing. But the reason I was like, they might be onto something is because the one person who wasn't commenting on it is Ryan Walters or his staff. And one of those media outlets said, we reached out to Walters' office to ask about this. And normally the staffers who work for Ryan Walters are like the staffers who work for Trump, which is, reporters reaching out to us.
Oh, you mean the enemy?
Yeah, you're fake news. We have nothing for you. How dare you take... They didn't respond to the reporters at all. And it's like, you had a chance to dunk on them and you didn't?
Okay,
that's
so something
unusual.
Is here.
Right. So here's what he calls his buddies at Fox and he's like, hey, can you put me on tonight? Because I got to break some news for you.
Everybody needs to know when the Secretary of Education of Oklahoma is going to resign. It's breaking news.
So they literally bring him on, theoretically, to talk about Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA.
Talking Point is a pretty good flip.
Because he put out a press release last week saying we're going to basically mandate that every high school in Oklahoma have a chapter of Charlie Kirk's group, which we'll talk about in a second. But he is on to talk about his new initiative. And then you hear the host say something which it gives away the game here. The host basically says, hey, before we get into this, I heard you have some breaking news. It's like, yeah, that's why he's here.
Ooh, that man is not a professional storyteller.
So basically, Walters says he's going to resign and he's going to become CEO of a nonprofit group called the Teacher Freedom Alliance.
Which TFA? Teach for America, really famous acronym that already exists.
Yeah, the Teacher Freedom Alliance in this case is a right-wing group that's relatively new, and their entire job is we want to destroy teachers' unions. And he is going to be their new CEO. And so his goal is he is now going to try to destroy public education from a different
From without
perch.
instead of from within.
And, I mean, nothing reveals your hatred for public education like the statement, and this is a quote,
oh God,
we're going to destroy the teachers' unions. And I do wonder.
Yikes.
I do wonder how much money did they offer this guy to be CEO? Because, again, this is not like a large national nonprofit with a long track record.
Right.
It's a relatively new organization that, of course, is funded by a much more wealthy right-wing group. But also, I don't know how much money they're paying this guy to take this job, because I have to think they're paying him something decent. That's what happens, and all politicians do this.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, what's going to take me out of this position of power I have, a lobbying job where I can make bank? I get that. That makes sense, even if it's distasteful.
Right.
But it's like Ryan Walters had what he wanted, which is the conservative education universe looks to him for everything. He gets attention whenever he does something stupid, and everything he does is stupid. Why would you give that up, even for a lot of money, to go work for a group that literally no one has heard of before this week? And I don't know, because even if he wants to destroy teachers' unions, what are you going to do? Let's say you're like, hey, we have a new initiative that's going to break unions. Well, guess what? Fox News doesn't care about you anymore because you're the head of a small nonprofit, not the guy running Oklahoma's schools. I don't get that. And I don't know how much money it would take for him to switch. Now, here's the conspiratorial suggestion as to why he's doing this. One is he saw the tea leaves for his reelection campaign, if he was going to do that. And he thought, for some reason, not everyone likes me in Oklahoma.
Sure.
Including Republicans.
I don't know why I'm doing everything wrong.
Yeah. And so maybe he's like, I don't think I'm going to win re-election, and that could be embarrassing. There were rumors.
The old LBJ technique.
There were rumors he might run for governor, but he would have to run in a GOP primary.
And again, same issue applies.
He realized, I don't think I have a good track record here.
I mean, I think he's overplayed his hand in a really big way because, again, he's the head of education in Oklahoma. Like, not to undermine the great state of Oklahoma, looking at you, Michael Kidd. Good job on that musical. But, like, yeah, it's not like the seat of power in education. It's not even like Texas, where at least
he runs his little fiefdom.
They do. Petty tyrants.
Yes.
Petty tyrants are going to destroy this world.
If you have that little bit of power that you have used to your ends, not to help the students, but to accomplish your MAGA-tastic goals.
His vanity projects.
Yes. What is it that's taking you away from there? And honestly, even if it's all theoretical, I do think I'm going to be embarrassed 1 year from now.
Yeah.
So let me get ahead of it now and pretend like I'm leaving this position for something better, even though it's totally not better on paper.
But even so, why wouldn't he just wait out his term?
Yeah, why not go a year from now?
Yeah, because there's a lot of shame in everything Ryan Walters does, but there's no shame being like, moving into the private sector, not going to run for re-election. That is, I would say, would make fewer waves.
Job until next year. That's a great point, and I don't know why he didn't. He could have, but the bottom line is, for whatever reason, he's out.
Hemant texted me about this last week when it was breaking, and my immediate thought is it's money. I really
that it had to be the money.
I do not think that he has enough moral backbone to leave for a mission, especially when what he is doing right now is really the peak of obviously, he didn't get that Secretary of Education job under Trump, which is, again, one of the great things that's happened to me this year is that he did not get that. But it just feels, although I'm really surprised it's a nonprofit.
Nonprofits, they're Christian nonprofits, and I only say that to say some of them, if they are like right-wing passion projects, you can make a ton of money and it doesn't matter because it's not like your board of directors is going to be like, I think we're paying you too much.
Yeah, we're not getting the results we want. Jesus hasn't come back.
The weird thing is I'm not kidding when I say this is not a big group. As far as I know, they only have hundreds or a couple thousand members total. We're not talking hundreds of thousands of people.
Membership? Individual teachers or schools?
Theoretically, individual teachers who are not happy with their unions and want to do something else, and he's going to empower them. But also, if you recall several years ago in Oklahoma, teachers who are part of the union were very much protesting. Like, they do have a lot of power in the state of Oklahoma, and I'm sure he wants to break their power, but also... he hasn't been successful at doing that in Oklahoma.
He's arguably,
I don't know why he thinks he's going to be able to do it from a different perch.
Has he accomplished anything?
So, no. This is where it gets interesting. Let me read up for you some of the things he's done. But as I read through the list, what you're going to realize is it's a lot of wishful thinking. It's a lot of press releases that get attention, but it doesn't, by and large, change what is happening in the schools. Let me run down. In case you're tuning in for the first time and have no clue who this guy is. Here's what he has done since taking office as the head of public education. Okay. He tried to purchase Trump Bibles for every teacher in public schools.
Leather or leatherette, which is
yes.
going to be my favorite part of that for the rest of my life.
He wanted $6 million to do that. He didn't get that money.
Weird.
Half from the legislature. They said no. And then his office was like, well, we got $3 million, but they didn't end up spending it. He eventually settled for sending a few hundred to AP government teachers, who are the people who need them the least because they have a set curriculum. By the way, in the past week, one AP Gov teacher in Oklahoma went viral on TikTok because he said, I just got this Bible from Ryan Walters. And by the way, you know what amendments are not in the Constitution that's included in this Bible? The Reconstruction Amendments. Basically, amendments 11 onward are just not included in this Bible as if they don't exist.
Oh, sure. 19th Amendment.
No, we don't want to hear about that
14th. Yeah. Nothing interesting there.
So that's one of his things that he tried to do.
Prohibition didn't happen, I guess.
Got a lot of attention for it, failed. He also tried to rewrite social studies standards from kindergarten through 12th grade to indoctrinate children with revisionist pro-Christian mythology. He got the state's Board of Education to approve those standards, did not tell them. He made additional changes to make it worse. He got sued over it. And then the Oklahoma Supreme Court has blocked him from implementing those standards now. And they have said, hey, all teachers, just go back to your old standards from 2019. Those are still in place. And then if you need to add stuff to make it current, that's on you. That's fine. But we're not implementing the standards Ryan Walters tried to pass. So that's another failure on his part.
I feel like I'm seeing my favorite band at Riot Fest and they're just playing the hits over and over.
This is totally tangential. There is a local, collar counties of Chicago.
Collar?
The ones around Chicago that are historically way redder than Chicago. And there's the local Republican chair who went to Riot Fest.
Fuck you.
Took a picture, posted it on Twitter, him and his wife or girlfriend, I don't know which one. But he's like, I'm here at Riot Fest. It's a nice concert, but I don't know why they get so political here. And Riot Fest responded to him and just were like, the fuck is wrong with you? I'm paraphrasing, but they slammed this guy and he's being mocked mercilessly because it's why would you go to a punk concert and be like, oh, Rage Against the Machine? When did they get political?
I was going to say, this is Paul Ryan with Rage Against the Machine all over again. Do they not listen to lyric?
No.
Whenever I see a dude in a big dumb truck and he's got a Punisher logo and then also a Blue Lives Matter thing, it's my dude, I don't like comic book, but even I know that Punisher hates cops.
It was so funny just to watch everyone slamming this guy who locally is it's one of those guys.
Oh, that's
but to watch everyone making fun of him. Oh, it's great. Anyway, Ryan Walters used public money to fund a religious charter school. It would have been the first taxpayer-funded Catholic school in the country. The Oklahoma Supreme Court, again, shot it down as unconstitutional. He appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, and it was a 4-4 tie, so the earlier ruling stayed in place.
Because
so
what's her face?
Amy Coney Barrett recused.
Yeah, recused herself.
There was a statewide teacher shortage. There has been. Who's moving to Oklahoma to teach? Not a ton of people.
But they get a free Bible.
They do. And he said, hey, if you're transferring to Oklahoma from places like California or New York, because that's a thing that happens, we're going to make you take a special anti-woke test to see if you're qualified to teach in Oklahoma.
I forgot about this.
And again, it happened 3 minutes ago. And it turned out it wasn't actually a real test at all. It was a PragerU publicity stunt where you literally cannot score anything less than 100%.
It's so funny. It's just all so silly.
He sued an atheist group for warning public schools, 2 of them in Oklahoma, hey, you guys are doing something that violates church-state separation, and we're letting you know about that. Because if you keep doing it, we may have to go to court about it. Yeah. And the schools are like, oh, you are correct. and we will stop doing it. This is like 6 years ago and like 2 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And Ryan Walters sued the Freedom from Religion Foundation for sending 2 warning letters to those districts saying they are stopping me from doing my job. And a judge is like, what the hell are you talking about, Ryan Walters? They didn't do anything wrong, and tossed his entire lawsuit out.
Sue somebody for sending a letter. I don't think.
Trying to help them stay on the right side of the law. What else did he do? He tried forcing teachers to make the Bible part of their curriculum. This is before he sent them Bibles. He tried to put Christian chaplains in public schools. Yep. He tried to mandate the 10 Commandments in those schools. He claimed the Tulsa Race Massacre has nothing to do with race. Yep. He falsely claimed President Joe Biden wanted to, quote, destroy our Christian faith. News to me. He formed a faith committee to examine prayer in public schools. He appointed the troll who runs Libs of TikTok to a statewide library advisory board to advise them on which books to ban. He sent out a sample prayer to teachers saying, this is how we can pray for Israel, and also who cares about Gaza. He pissed off Republicans in his own party, too. And this is part of why even Republicans were not happy with this dude. They said he was withholding $150 million they had already passed and allocated for security enhancements for public schools. He was just sitting on that money and not giving it to those schools.
Why? Like, to what end? That doesn't seem to line up with his Christian message. Bored, just didn't feel like it.
We discussed this like months and months ago, but basically they were due a certain amount of money per year. And the schools are like, there are some things we could do for security, but we need more money to do it. So instead of giving us the money in year 1, 2, and 3, can we just hold that money until year 3, get it all at once,
and then we could do it all?
And he basically said, nope, I'm just going to keep your money if you want to do that. So they... And Republicans were pissed off about that. He hid information about how he spent taxpayer dollars for his office's travel budget because he was flying off to right-wing religious conferences, and he wouldn't tell anyone like how big his posse is that he's taking with him.
His posse?
Yeah. He would not...
the most boring posse in the world.
He would not fulfill open records requests in a timely manner. He would not... This is the big... infuriating one. He refused to spend money that the legislature had already allocated for asthma inhalers for students.
Well, asthma's all in the mind.
Yeah. And so basically they tried to impeach him over this. They did not have the votes to do it. This is an article from one of these publications, notus.org. This is one of those digital media outlets.
Okay.
But they summarized it this way. Basically saying the Trump administration and Oklahoma's governor, Kevin Stitt, really don't want anything to do with this guy at this point. Walters has been increasingly absent from Oklahoma's education world. In August, Education Secretary Linda McMahon, the wrestling lady, excluded Walters from a meeting when she visited Oklahoma.
Really?
He also developed a pattern of skipping Oklahoma Board of Education meetings.
Developed a pattern is such a gentle way to say it.
Yeah. In late July, school board members alleged they saw naked women on a television in his office during a meeting, which his office downplayed. We talked about this. There was a legit excuse, but it is funny.
But also his response was out of his mind. He genuinely thought the governor
they were setting him up. Yeah.
Which is fucking wild.
In early September, Walters did not show up for the first state school board meeting since that incident was reported. The board carried on the meeting without him.
And there were no consequences.
No, I mean, ultimately, and I do believe this, he did not do anything wrong, and it wasn't really on his computer. There was a legit excuse. Again, funny as hell, though.
Very funny.
But he's not even doing his one job.
And he apologized for screaming at everybody in creation, right?
Nothing of the sort.
That's so strange.
And then
he's so humble.
This past week, or a week ago, he announced that every high school in the state will have a chapter of Turning Point USA in honor of Charlie Kirk, even though...
A chapter of?
Because Charlie Kirk ran like a conservative, let's debate your civil rights, because that's the thing we got to debate now. And he said, yeah, we're going to have a chapter of that in every high school in the state, except, one, he doesn't get to force clubs onto every high school in the state.
Yeah.
And two, guess what? If kids want to start a club of any kind
They can.
in their school, they already can.
Yeah.
The reason schools don't have a TPUSA chapter
Because nobody
is because no
cares.
one wants it at that particular school. And guess what? If they did, they could have one.
Yep.
So I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, in short, the summary here. Ryan Walters did nothing to raise Oklahoma standing as one of the worst states in the country for education. By the best measure, it's 48, but it's probably lower. And everything he did is to score political points.
Yeah.
And now he's ditching that job that he does not care about to take one better suited to his hatred for the people who actually make Oklahoma schools work. And so anyway, they announced he's taking over this Teach for America, but the conservative version, whatever we want to call it. So now you have a far-right politician who is going to work for a far-right group.
Yep.
Match made in hell. There you go. I do not actually know what this means for the belief that he was going to run for governor, because it's possible he could still run for governor, but he's very much now losing not only a potential constituency who sees him as a guy in power if you don't pay attention to politics, but also you are losing the chance to go on Fox News every other day because you put out a stupid press release, so you lose the free media you're getting as well. I don't know how this helps him become governor in 2026, if that is part of his long game here.
That is an interesting point, because as a, when he becomes a private citizen,
he can do whatever he wants.
He can do whatever he wants. Could he still call up like Fox News and be like, "Hey, it's me, Ryan"?
He could. He has their contacts.
But
clearly.
You don't think Fox News will be interested in what he has to say as much anymore?
Again, there are plenty of right-wing conservatives who run right-wing groups who I'm sure would love to get on Fox News for anything. But again, they're like, yeah, but who are you? We have other people in the wings who want to be podcast hosts in the future who are currently like running the Senate.
Yeah, not everybody can be a podcast host, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
it takes grit and determination and an ability to set up a webcam.
I would also like to know if all it took to get this guy out of office was a bag of cash. I want to know what his price was, because we could have started that GoFundMe a long time ago.
That's a good point. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I think it's fundamentally about money. I think secondarily it is him seeing the writing on the wall that he's failed at every turn to do all of his dumb Machiavellian bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it's those two. I do not. Okay, this is what I'm calling right now. I think he's done with politics. I think
You think he's done?
I do. I think he has failed really hard. He's more or less been humiliated in his own state. He's accomplished nothing. He didn't get the Trump job, which again, so fucking funny for me. I think he rose to the peak of like his power that he thought and still couldn't get anything done. And like, why would you stay there if none of your shit is going and Daddy Trump isn't paying attention anymore?
Yeah.
I would love for somebody to put together just a montage of us screaming about various Ryan Walters clips over the last few years. And
it's been years.
Under like,
oh my God.
Oklahoma, where the wind. And just like, I never believed it would happen to me. Oh, so good. Oh, so Ryan Walters.
Now the question is, Kevin Stitt gets to appoint someone to take his place until the next election, which again, someone's going to be in that seat until the beginning of 2027. That's a long time from now. And who's he going to appoint? I assume it's going to be another Republican. I assume it's someone who is no longer... he doesn't want to remove anyone from the legislature, I would think. So there are plenty of retired Republicans sitting around doing nothing. It is hard for me to imagine, even if you appoint another Republican, another conservative, how do they get worse than Ryan Walters? Because I would think, purely strategically here, if you're Kevin Stitt, just appoint someone who's not going to embarrass you and try to upstage you and then do all the conservative shit you want to do.
Honestly, at this point, appoint a mannequin, put a suit on it, you'll be better off.
Just Weekend at Bernie's this shit.
Yes!
And everyone will be better off.
Boy, we could Weekend at Bernie's a lot of senators right now because they are all looking pretty skeletal.
There you go. That's
right.
Hey, Congress is no longer in session. They shut down the government, so I don't know. What are they going to do? All right, I'm going to move to a different story. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, where are we going?
Let's talk about Minnesota youth hockey, which is clearly...
Finally.
Yes, it's the story you've all been waiting for. Here's the thing about youth hockey.
I am just aware that this is going to go off the rails in a big way because fucking Little League children's sports is such a wild hotbed of insanity.
Yes.
And I know for a fact that Minnesota cares deeply about hockey, and also it's becoming more and more a rich white kid sport because it's very expensive. So I am thrilled about this particular story.
I wrote down for Jess is Minnesota youth hockey.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the situation. Like she said, it is super popular. Like where we live, soccer is a big thing. Baseball is a big thing. But in Minnesota, youth hockey is what the kids play. And here's the thing. If you play... Think about this, even if you know nothing else about the sport or youth sports.
Oh, boy. Haven't much to explain hockey.
I know. You're a community league that is running youth soccer. You have to deal with all these age ranges. You have a lot of games. And on a day where all the games are being played, you have like a handful of rinks that can actually accommodate the games. So what do? It's like, I'm making this up, but 8:00 in the morning, game 1 is going to be played. That will last 1 hour, let's say. After that, we have 15 minutes to like Zamboni that ice, let the new teams who are playing the next game get on the rink, warm up and all that. And then we got to start the game on time because we have a packed schedule that we got to make sure like we cram in all these games appropriately.
Did somebody take a prayer break before their game?
Oh, we'll get there. So there's an affiliate of the statewide league that does this, Minnesota Hockey. There's one in Minneapolis, like the north side of Minneapolis, District 10. And in that and all of these districts are very big, and they have their own volunteer people who kind of run that area, that community league. And so here's what they do. Over the summer, the people running this whole league, they realized that after a game, what do the two teams do? Normally, like any sport, they meet by and do the shaking hands, good game, yes, good game. All that. But in this league, what the adults found is that, in addition to doing the good game stuff, teams are gathering at Central Ice and saying a prayer together. Maybe it's one team, maybe it's both teams coming together. At the end of the game, they were doing that.
That's a non-traditional time to pray.
And if it's player-led, this is not a legal issue. It's not like the adults are making the kids do this. It's not a formal thing. So this is not that type of problem. But what was happening is those prayers, even if they're short, they take up time because everyone's gathering at Center Ice. Yeah. Then even after the prayer, let's say it lasts 1 minute, then they all have to get off the... you are now taking up 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes where they can't Zamboni the ice and the other teams can't get on the rink. So if you're the schedule coordinator for this league, you're like, I need to get people off the ice and then a new group on the ice. Yeah. And if you have let's say you're 5 minutes delayed for the next game, but then the next teams do this. Yeah. Now you're 10 minutes delayed for the following game. Well, and by the end of the day, things are delayed. Like, people are getting mad at you now.
There's a reason that there's a timer for Oscar speeches because they have to move shit along.
We have things we got to do. So earlier in September, the board of directors for District 10, they said, hey, we have a new policy we're going to implement. And you see this in their minutes. And here's what they said in their minutes for their recent meeting. As discussed at the president's meeting over the summer, and as agreed upon by all of the District 10 Association presidents that were in attendance, all Central Ice player gatherings are being moved off ice so that the arenas are kept on time. This applies to all 10 scrimmages league games and District 10 playoff district tournament games. Failure to do this will result in a 1-game suspension for each team's head coach or acting head coach. So they discussed this over the summer. Everyone was like, yeah, we need to do that. And how do we force the coaches to get their players off the ice? We'll suspend you if you don't do it.
You need a penalty. Otherwise, there's no teeth to it.
Totally sensible policy. It was unanimously supported when this group met over the summer.
And then Jesus found out.
And then last month, they codified it. And that's what went out. And by the way, one of the people who voted for that rule told a media outlet what the reasoning was. I'm quoting, this is a guy who's a board member of one of these youth hockey programs. Quote, by the time a circle starts to form or something like it, it really is going to take a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the hour, the ice doors have to open. The Zamboni has to start the cleaning process. They only get 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If they are a minute late, the next session is going to start late. Mm-hmm. So yes, totally makes sense. So as soon as that new policy was announced and like put in the minutes and everyone could read them, Christians flipped the fuck out. This is from an article. For many families, the decision seemed directly aimed at ending the tradition of post-game prayer circles, which are led by players and typically last less than a minute. It felt like they were just trying to sneak it through as something minor, said some dad whose daughters play hockey. He explained that after the handshake line, players usually kneel at center ice with arms around each other for a brief prayer before returning to their teams. Here's another dad. It really loses its meaning when you take that step away from center ice.
What loses its meaning?
The prayer. What? If you make us do it, not at center ice, but off the rink.
Then what's the point? Nobody can even see me.
Here's another person who tipped off a news outlet. These prayer circles are led by the players and are wildly popular. I bet over 80% of each team participates.
Wildly popular.
And another person said, anyone who has witnessed these knows the truth. Team prayer circles are respectful, voluntary, and take less than 1 minute.
Nobody's saying they're not.
This is not about the time.
Yes, it is.
This is about silencing public expressions of faith.
Super isn't. Super duper isn't.
So if you think...
Like, these fucking narcissistic monsters are like, oh, there's a thing I like to do, and you're slightly changing it. How?
You're making me do it, but like in a way that not everyone can see me?
Jesus Christ.
You think Jesus likes it if people are not watching me pray?
And like, just to add on to that, and I'm not telling anybody listening something they don't know, but about 80% of every team, so that means 20% of the team is being actively excluded by you or being coerced into doing something they're not comfortable with.
Right.
Do you know how many prayer circles I had to be in as a child? And I will say shit to anybody, but...
You spent 7 hours a day around the flagpole.
But like, I sure did. But when you're about to go on to like Wizard of Oz on stage and you're playing Anti-M and everyone's like, we need to do a quick prayer so you can like fold the towels real good on stage. I was just like, I guess.
I did so many of those.
It's the pits.
Yep.
It's just so uncomfortable. And then
the pre-performance prayers.
Oh my God, just a quick prayer circle just to make sure God smiles down upon this Wizard of Oz / the Wiz mix starring all white kids. Eat on down the road.
That's awkward for all of you.
Oh, it was awkward.
If you think a group prayer loses its meaning if you don't get to do it publicly,
it's so silly.
Just admit this is about your ego. It's not about religion. There's no reason you can't do the prayer in the locker room after the game or off the ice so the next teams can get situated, or, privately whenever the hell you want. No one's stopping you unless you think God is so weak.
Yeah.
He can't see your prayers unless you're directly in his line of sight.
Well, everybody knows that an ice arena is like a Faraday cage and God's prayers can't get in or out.
Again, these people are making the argument that these prayers are quick, but it doesn't matter. It's still added delay. This isn't about anti-religion. It's pro-logistics.
Yes.
And so last week, after all this backlash, Minnesota Hockey released a statement saying we are
Deal with it, nerds. Deal with it.
They said we are putting that end of game policy on hold for further review.
No, haven't. They're putting it on ice. Come on.
And they were like, you guys, we fully support religious freedom. They did say that. They said, it is Minnesota Hockey's understanding that it was never the intention of the district to discriminate against or prohibit player prayer.
Oh,
like,
God.
I know it's not your intention to discriminate. The policy doesn't discriminate. So who are you trying to satisfy here? But religious zealots always believe they are victims of persecution, even when we're talking about scheduling hockey games.
And the fucking moment a Christian cries persecution, people do backflips to be like, no, we love Jesus. I love Jesus more than you. Look at my giant cross. It's like a Flavor Flav size cross. See? Love Jesus.
These complainers
we should all pray. Everybody has to pray. Mandatory prayers.
They can't tell the difference between genuine oppression and a minor inconvenience.
Especially, like, people are getting snatched off the street for being brown. Maybe you don't need to focus your energy on the fact that your 8-year-old is being coerced into praying at center ice.
I don't think Minnesota hockey needed to back down because their policy was neutral. I think it would have withstood legal scrutiny. But again, these are volunteers. They just want to run a children's league, not get dragged into court. So, of course, they capitulated. And I get why they did it.
Yeah.
But they also reinforced the false narrative that if you put any boundary around any public display of faith, I guess it's inherently hostile to faith itself. Like, that's not true. No one was stopping these people from praying. The request is, hey, if you want to pray, can you not delay everybody else from doing their job?
While you do the good job handshake,
right?
Like, our Father who art in heaven, slap, 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 slap.
You don't care about the good game anyway.
Yeah.
So just say the prayers while you're doing it. You don't care about that either.
Oh, those passive aggressive good games. Good game.
Yeah.
Good game.
I've said many of those too. All right, I got a different story that also involves children.
Great.
The bane of my existence, clearly. But okay, this is a ridiculous story. I don't know if you've heard this one yet. So I don't know if you heard the last one either.
I haven't heard anything.
That's fine.
Aggressively avoiding the news.
When you were in high school, how did they do morning announcements for you?
It was basic. There's a communications class, and whoever, like, you have that class, and you get individual mornings that you get to do the announcements, and you got a list of announcements, and you got to do a little intro or outro to put your little spin
over the
on
loudspeaker.
Over the loudspeaker.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how a lot of students do that. Maybe an administrator says it over the loudspeaker. Maybe students say it over the loudspeaker. At a lot of high schools these days, especially ones that have the equipment with computers and video production.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes they have a class, maybe, where students are tasked either once a day or once a week, make a show.
Yeah.
That is like a YouTube show with morning announcements, and people get to be the anchors, and kids can propose and edit and film their own little segments. And it's put together, I think, at the school I used to work at. It was like 10 minutes is how long this is going to be once a week.
Oh, okay.
And there's an entire class dedicated to making those videos and all the production side of that thing. Okay. So we're going to West Orange High School. This is near Orlando, Florida.
Oh, really? Something called West Orange is in Orlando, Florida?
There you go. West Orange High School. They have one of these. I don't know if it's a class. I don't know if it's a group that does it, but they do daily news for the school. And so it's a short program. I looked on YouTube. These programs are like 3 to 4 minutes long every day, but they have anchors basically saying these are the things everyone needs to know. Fine. A few weeks ago, the school uploaded the next day's announcements on their YouTube channel, and it featured an 82-second, less than a minute and a half segment in which one student talked about Witchy Wednesday.
Ooh, I'm in. Oh, that's today.
Yeah. Here's basically what this student said. I'll read some of it. Today is Wednesday, September 10th, and this is our first episode of Witchy Wednesday. I am here to guide you through your magical midweek journey every Wednesday. And then here's the problem. The student kind of explains, here's the next thing she says. To start, there was a new moon yesterday on September 9th, normally regarded as a blank state. I think she meant blank slate. And a new start. This phase invites introspection and intention setting. Simple things to do to honor this phase could be to write your intentions and bury them, or just meditate for an energy reset and healing. This goes on for like another minute. And at the very end, that's all for today, warriors. Have a wicked Wednesday. Okay. Cute, sure. Was it religious? It wasn't mentioned in the segment, but she's very clearly promoting Wiccan beliefs. And you could look them up. It kind of is perfectly in sync with their rituals, their beliefs. Now, if I was her teacher, would I have greenlit and allowed that segment in the broadcast? No. I think the whole thing feels more like this kid's passion project.
Yeah.
Rather than anything the entire school needs to see.
Sure.
I'm not sure why it's worth anybody's time. That's not a knock on the kid. I don't know why this is part of your segment for this episode.
It feels like a horoscope thing.
Yeah. Like, why are you reading me your horoscopes for school?
I don't care,
Whatever.
but okay.
It's unclear to me. And from everything I read about this, I don't know if an adult okayed the full episode before it was placed online and shown to the students, or if like students are tasked with making that episode and like they just ran with it.
They must have
know.
some supervision.
I don't know. I will say I did reach out to the school for clarification. No one responded to me. Okay.
Weird.
But I will say if a student did the same sort of thing promoting Christian rituals, I would say that's inappropriate as well. So the bottom line is that segment should not have been in that episode. And if the student was correct in saying this is the first segment of this kind, they definitely should put a stop to that. Now, imagine you work for like a nonprofit organization that cares about this sort of thing.
Honestly, I cannot put myself in an emotional place to care about something like this.
But here's what you would do if you were like the Freedom from Religion Foundation or a group like that.
Hey, bad call.
You say, hey, we heard you were doing this thing. By the way, I don't work for FFRF, but this is my understanding of how they would do it. They send the district a letter saying, hey, this is the allegation of what's happening here. Here's why it's a problem. And we just need your assurance that it won't happen again because it is a problem. And you might want to know, did any adults approve this? And do they understand the law? I would bet good money that none of the administrators saw this in advance. Why would they? They're not in charge of micromanaging every class project. And I don't know that the student knew this was a problem. And I don't know if a teacher overseeing this noticed it or thought it was a problem either.
Sure.
But that's it. There's really no need to shame them. It's more of a, hey, school, this happened.
Kind
it's
of a
not
bad
supposed
judgment
to.
call.
Yeah, just let us know you're not going to let it happen again.
Yeah.
And it could be handled quickly and quietly. And by the way, if the school said, hey, you're right, we noticed it, we're not going to do it, I do get that the nonprofit group would say, hey, because of us, we stopped this thing that was happening, because they do want to publicize what they do to get results. Okay, here's the thing. This was tipped off to the right-wing Christian hate group Liberty Counsel. This is the group most famous for defending Kim Davis in Kentucky.
Cool.
Liberty Counsel went scorched earth on this thing, treating it like it's the worst kind of Christian persecution ever.
Wait, how is it Christian
So they send a letter, a 5-page letter to the district, not saying shut down this segment. They say, hey, we know you did this. We have 2 demands. We want Christians to also have a chance to proselytize on your little daily news show. And we want to make sure that students who want to leave the classroom during announcements be given the opportunity to do so, because the way you're shoving religion in everyone's faces here.
Just really quick, and I know this isn't the point, but leave the classroom during announcements. In my school, announcements were like everywhere. They weren't just like segmented to...
Maybe the loudspeakers only... Maybe the TV is only in the classroom, so let them sit in the hallway. And the Supreme Court now says you can opt out of things that are religious, that violate your religious beliefs.
So they're calling Christian persecution because a girl said that there was a new moon?
They're not calling it persecution. They're just saying, well, we noticed you allowed this. We just want to make sure that Christians who want to promote their beliefs on your channel can also do that.
Hey, Hemant,
I think in their mind, they're thinking, oh, you opened the door. We don't want you to shut the door. We want you to keep it open so we can burst through it.
I see.
Now, here's the thing. I happen to think they are right on the legal matter here, because either everyone gets to play this game or no one does.
But wouldn't the right thing... But the fact that there's a cease and... Like, there's been no harm. Oh, God.
No, but again, the school allowed it, and they shouldn't have. If I were a responsible person who actually cared about this, I would say, hey, you did this. It should not have happened. Stop it. And then the school would have looked at it, I assume, assuming everyone's acting in good faith here, they would have said, oh, yeah, that was a mistake. We will stop it.
Yeah.
That's what had to happen here. But here's where Liberty Counsel goes scorched earth. Not only do they send that letter... They asked the group to respond within 2 weeks. And when they sent the date of that letter, that 2 weeks would have been September 30th.
Okay.
But before the district could do anything, Liberty Counsel sends out a press release more than a week before that deadline and says they practically invite their right-wing religious mob to descend upon the school.
Oh, cool.
Headline from their press release: Florida high school promotes witchcraft. It's no, that's not what they were doing here.
Even close.
No. And again, just because the segment ran on the show, even though it should not have, doesn't mean the district was promoting anything. This whole thing could have been resolved with an email, right? So the day after that press release, a lawyer for the district writes back with a simple, completely appropriate response. Basically, here's what he said. We have reviewed the segment in question and confirmed it did take place. We have since instructed the school to cease Witchy Wednesday segments from the morning announcements. No further segments of this nature will take place. Great.
Easy peasy.
Problem solved. And then the letter from this guy explained, from the lawyer for the district, he explained why is the district doing this. He kind of goes over, here's what the Supreme Court says. We know what the law is.
Sure.
The Supreme Court has said this. We understand that morning announcements are government speech. Mm-hmm. We cannot, he said, quote, we cannot constitutionally allow such a segment to continue to take place in the future. Mm-hmm. Yes, great. And the letter said, hey, because there's no longer an open forum, because we're not opening that door anymore, no, students will not have a chance to proselytize during the show. And also, there's no need for students to opt out of morning announcements. So we're shutting down your little requests here.
Because it's specious at best.
And then the lawyer closed his letter with a very blunt message for Liberty Counsel. Finally, I must express my disappointment with how this matter has been handled.
Whoa.
Your letter was sent to me on September 18th and requested a response by September 30th. Yet, prior to your requested deadline to respond, your letter was obtained by local media outlets.
Wow.
I also understand that your organization issued a press release regarding the matter.
Wow.
Furthermore, the front page of your website has the following headline: Florida high school promotes witchcraft, along with a link to a copy of your letter. The manner in which this matter was handled was surprising, given that both our organizations share the same goal to ensure that all students have their free First Amendment free exercise rights respected.
Whoa.
Which is putting it lightly. The lawyer is telling the Christian group.
That's a very generous reading of what the Christian community is trying to do.
The lawyer was saying, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just call me and we would have worked this out? It's one thing to send a legal letter.
Yeah.
It's another to pretend the district is guilty of promoting a non-Christian religion when the inconvenient truth is probably administrators didn't know this was going to happen.
Yeah.
It happened, and now it won't happen. And so what did Liberty Counsel do after getting that letter from the district? They put out another press release the day after. Headline: Florida high school
himself.
Florida high school ceases witchcraft presentations. What? First of all, ceases witchcraft present. It was one segment from a kid. But two, presentations. Plural, as if they were having assemblies for this thing.
It's...
and then the last line in the press release. Yeah. Last line in the press release. Liberty Counsel provides broadcast quality TV interviews via high-def Skype and LTN at no cost. Are they promoting merch?
Excuse you?
I don't even know what that means, but are they promoting themselves?
Are they still using Skype?
They are still using Skype. They also released an audio interview.
2009?
They also put out an audio interview, like a 15-minute staffer talks to the head of the organization about this big controversy. Matt Staver, the guy who runs the group and is in all the pictures with Kim Davis when they're like, we support Kim Davis. He made it sound like this is a district-wide conspiracy. Here's what the co-host is like.
That does sound more fun.
The co-host is like, it was shocking.
Shocking.
Matt Staver compares this to companies that have gone woke. Here's what he says. Stop pushing the radicalized LGBTQ agenda.
What?
Yes. He invokes...
What?
Was that happening here? No.
What? Witches and gay people. I mean, yeah, there's, it's a pretty,
I swear to you,
big Venn diagram overlap.
He invoked Cracker Barrel.
You're fucking with me.
How?
On my birthday?
I don't know how or why, but he did.
I
think the message he was trying to send is go woke, go broke, but also what does that have to do with anything?
School. We don't want, hey, sir, we don't want schools to go broke. That's kind of our whole point.
And then he said, this is why so many families in Florida are taking advantage of vouchers. He said, quote, this is exactly why the parents are pulling their kids out of public school. Oops. And then he insisted in that conversation that the students segment, quote, had to go all the way up to the principal of this high school in Orange County. The principal had to be aware of this.
This is Ryan Walters, the governor put porn on my office computer level conspiratorial nonsense.
Not only is there literally no evidence that the principal knew anything about this, there's no reason to think a principal is overseeing a kid's daily announcement presentation every day.
Yeah.
No, like it was probably the responsibility of a video production class. And like, there's no reason to think this series would have gone beyond one episode after the first time it aired, regardless of what the students said, because after it aired, someone probably would have told that teacher, you can't do that. And then the teacher would have stopped, but we didn't get that chance. Anyway, he's acting like Liberty Counsel prevented this ongoing crisis. And it is a reminder that right-wing Christian groups like this, despite their multi-million-dollar budgets, one, can't buy a clue, but two, don't have any real problems to address because they don't actually face any real persecution.
It's true. Like
District officials handled this exactly as they should have, and Liberty Counsel shows you how unprofessional and unserious and dishonest they are.
Is the intellectual dishonesty of it all, to me, is truly the thing that kind of gets my goat after all of this, of like, I understand like a misguided religious person trying to like navigate whatever they think is going on. But this sort of like a woman mentioned a new moon and therefore it's gay is truly such a departure from reality and an inability to to even think twice about your own opinions, to just like examine your own opinions. And like, do you think a kid never said have a blessed day at the end of his announcements? Do you think no kid was like, hey, Easter is around the corner and this is the time of year when we think about renewal? Like, no, this is just part of nomenclature. This is what it is to live in a multicultural society, is people have different opinions and experiences and outlooks. And like, you can't just make everybody be you. I cannot be a straight white Christian man, no matter how much you yell at me about it.
And how much you want to, you try.
I tried. Oh boy, I tried to grow that peen, and it didn't work.
That's the noise you make to grow it?
What noise would you make? Hit me. Go ahead.
No.
Come on.
No.
Come on. Anyway,
You make the sound effects for both of us. Thank you.
No, it truly is this... I need to know if they believe their own bullshit. It's like if I could...
They're so busy trying to get the Kim Davis case to the Supreme Court so that they can overturn marriage equality. That's what their focus is on.
But I mean, like,
while they're on break, they're going after this kid in Florida.
But like, it's just...
They're true nemesis.
You know, all the mysteries of the world, like who's D.B. Cooper? What happened to Amelia Earhart? Like, what happened to John Benet Ramsey? I need to know if these people read this shit and are genuinely like, this is outrageous and we need to protect the children. Or are they, as I suspect, just absolute pricks who like need to flex their power in the dumbest ways against, I want to be clear, a teenage girl.
They need to show their donors that we are doing things and they have nothing to do. So they make shit up.
But we show our donors the work we do here, and we don't have as much money as them, and they're not doing any good work.
I mean, we should.
Patreon.com/.
All right, here's a more serious story.
Doesn't the money flowing around this shit make you insane?
Yes.
It makes me feel crazy.
I'm literally giving talks soon about the complete inequality when it comes to how right-wing anything content is funded compared to left-wing content.
Because it's just an avalanche of money.
Yeah. They have so much. And again, the joke that goes around is these people have millions of dollars to launch their right-wing whatever it is, websites, podcasts, whatever, whereas progressives have like $3 that we cycle between each other through our Patreons.
Yep, that's exactly correct.
Yeah.
Buy our T-shirts and I will buy...
All right,
buy a hat from you.
Totally different story, but this one is a bigger deal.
Are we going to Texas?
This is in Texas, and basically, I think they saw what Oklahoma was doing with Ryan Walters and how he was trying to sabotage their students. Remember,
I said, hold my beer.
Yeah, Ryan Walters wanted to adopt those new social studies standards that had election misinformation, COVID misinformation, Christian nationalism. Texas Republicans must have gotten jealous. Because they are on the verge of adopting their own social studies standards next summer. But they want to prove like we can do way worse than what Oklahoma did.
Boy, Texas has some shit to play with, too.
And
in its
they
history.
do because they're influential, because it's such a big state with so many millions of students that when they pass their standards, textbook publishers are like, we do have to adapt what we do to what Texas wants. Whereas we could tell, like, Oklahoma, fuck off, no one cares about you.
Right.
So how are they doing it? Well, two of the Board of Education members, Brandon Hall and Julie Pickren, they recently announced that they have brought along an expert content advisor to help advise them on what standards need to be changed. And that content advisor is...
Me.
David Barton.
Oh, my fucking Christ, my nemesis.
The letter says, David Barton's
one of the
expertise.
worst human beings that America has produced, and I'm including Donald Trump.
Yeah.
This man has his little fingies in everything.
So their letter said, David Barton's expertise in American history will be a valuable asset.
Big quotes around expertise?
Not in the letter, surprisingly.
Weird.
It will be a valuable asset to the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills revisions, the standards revisions, particularly following our recent vote to ensure that American and Texas history are taught at every grade level. His commitment to historical accuracy and his passion for teaching the exceptionalism of Texas and America reflect the values and priorities of the parents and taxpayers.
I was just thinking about
represented by us.
This the other day around the Charlie Kirk of it all. Why is American exceptionalism such a sticking point for people?
Because if you're not always the greatest people who ever existed, that suggests weakness. So we have to be perfect at all times. That's what baby Jesus wanted. God gave us America.
Is it toxic masculinity that prevents people from being able to say, like, oh, I might have been wrong about something? Is that what it is?
No, that's just the Republican motto.
I mean, one and the same, my dude.
Yeah.
I just...
So, this idea that David Barton gives a damn about commitment to historical accuracy is laughable when you remember he wrote an entire book about Thomas Jefferson that was so full of bullshit that his Christian publishers are like, we got to pull this from the shelves. They said, quote, there were historical details, matters of fact, not matters of opinion, that were not supported at all. Which is funny because these are the same people who published 47 million Bibles.
Yeah. Ooh.
And that book was titled The Jefferson Lies.
And the wonderful podcast.
Warren
Throckmorton's podcast called Telling Truths of Jefferson's. It's all very complicated. But if you are interested in American history and anything about how educational standards happen, you simply must listen to Warren Throckmorton.
David Barton has made a career out of distorting the words of the founding fathers, taking them out of context, saying they meant one thing when the actual historians are like, that's totally not what they were going for. And he has quoted and used the Bible in defense of Christian nationalism and homophobia and bigotry. He is the sort of Christian who believes AIDS is God's way of punishing sexually active gay people. He is such an egregious liar that his bio talked about how he had an earned doctorate.
He does not.
Does
he have a master's?
He has.
Does he have
honorary doctorates given to him by shitty Christian schools?
I would give my left foot for an honorary doctorate. That is my career goal. I want Ball State University. I'm looking at you. Give me that doctorate. I have most of a minor in dance completed.
Does he have a master's? No, he doesn't. He doesn't have any credentials that suggest he's a historian in any credible way. He is nothing more than a self-marketer who has convinced Republicans that he's an expert in American history.
Super isn't.
Because he's been doing it for a while. He has a ministry called Wall Builders dedicated to spreading these lies. And he has convinced so many white evangelical pastors to platform him that he's become popular among Republicans who just hate the idea that, to your point, if they think kids are going to learn accurate, comprehensive history, they know it's not going to make America look perfect.
Right.
They know it's not going to make Texas look very good. And they don't want kids to be able to grapple with that tension.
Yeah.
And the grift has paid off for David Barton, especially in Texas. This guy was the vice chair of the Republican Party of Texas from 1997 to 2006.
Oof, those were rough times for the Republican Party.
In 2010, when the social studies standards were being revised at the time, he was also a content advisor back then. And The Guardian ran a headline that said this: Texas Schools Board rewrites U.S. history with lessons promoting God and guns.
God and guns.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So what's an example of what he said in 2010, the last time he was tasked to do this? He argued that it was a, quote, false premise to say racial and ethnic minorities helped expand political rights in America. He basically said...
It's a false premise that people of color were responsible for getting rights.
Like the Civil Rights Act? Who did that? You think that was black people?
Oh, he's saying thank white people for your gift of the vote?
That's right. He
Even
said
if that is how history worked?
White men who passed those laws. Therefore, it's white men who are... You want to thank suffragettes for giving women the right to vote? Excuse me, who passed the constitutional amendments to make that happen? It was white men.
David Barton should step out in front of a racehorse.
And then...
That's a suffragette joke.
He also said,
he didn't get
if we're teaching people who contributed to society in the areas of civil rights, women's rights, military actions, and politics, the standards suggested some of the names you will want to teach kids about. Again, this is 2010. Colin Powell is one of the names that came up. Cesar Chavez came up on that list. He's like, no, these are all bad options. Do not include any of those names. He said no to Colin Powell, the Republican guy.
Because he's black?
Because he's just he's not the sort of black person that we should be admiring.
Is it because he knew his name is actually Colin and he said it weird for no specific reason?
So now, at a time when Texas Republicans are using their supermajority to shove Christianity into the curriculum, 10 Commandments laws, chaplains, whatever, now they want to... Here's what they're going to do. If Barton takes on this role again on the curriculum, Republicans will be able to just point to that guy as justification for doing whatever it is they totally want to do, knowing damn well he's going to rubber stamp their agenda. And there are established local groups trying to sound the alarm on this. This is from an article about it. The Texas Freedom Network, a progressive advocacy organization, in a statement, criticized the decision to appoint Barton as an advisor, whom the group said could jeopardize a process that should be focused on education, not politics.
Really?
This appointment is a flashing red light warning that the social studies overhaul appears already to be headed off the rails and into a political swamp of misinformation and distortions.
Who's saying this?
This is the progressive Texas Freedom Network. The board members who appointed this phony historian clearly care more about pushing a political agenda than teaching millions of Texas kids the truth in our public schools. By the way, that organization, on their website, they have a long list of things David Barton is wrong about.
Well, actually, I'm glad you said that, because one of the things I wanted to bring up about David Barton is that beyond the Christian nationalism of it all, he also in addition to misrepresenting Jefferson as a Christian, when have you seen the Jefferson Bible? He obviously did not
cut out the miracles.
Cut out the magic shit. There's nothing you can do to convince me that wasn't him being like, this Jesus dude had some good ideas, but I don't believe he produced 50 loaves of bread or whatever the thing is. But in addition to those kinds of things, those misrepresentations of historical figures and pretending that they would believe, even if he was Christian, as if this brand of Christianity that David Barton promotes has anything close to do with what a 17th century Christian would believe, which is fucking insane. But he also will lie about the facts of Jefferson's life. He is so obsessed with turning Jefferson to this superhero and this person who is above reproach that he just lies about him holding enslaved people. He just lies about shit. He said that because he inherited slaves, which I believe is true, and was like, oh, I would definitely super free them, but I can't. I am legally bound from selling these human beings whom I own. I legally can't do it from this law that's over there. Don't think about it too much. These things just simply aren't true. The Sally Hemings shit is true. It's historical fact. You can't just be like, oh yeah, he was super Christian and also hated slavery as he raped his slave. Like, you don't get to rewrite history and pretend that everybody was perfect and beautiful and nothing hurt, because that misrepresents the pain and the blood that was spilled building this country and still gets spilled building this country to benefit people like that. And now we can't even besmirch a rich white dead dude's record? Like, no, you don't. This is the Charlie Kirk thing all over again. You don't get to whitewash somebody's life because they're dead. Those facts still happen. There are real, true facts. You can't just make shit up that you want to. And I understand how appealing it is. And I also love to make up shit to make my own point. But you can't, to what end? You're just teaching people to be deeply uncritical of anybody. Oh, I just figured it out.
Yeah.
They're teaching people to be deeply uncritical of somebody in power. Well,
that's how Republicans.
I just solved the mystery.
You did it. So Brandon Hall, one of those.
I am wise now that I'm 40.
Brandon Hall, who's one of the State Board of Education members who brought on Barton. Mm-hmm. He posted online, appointing Wall Builders President David Barton as a social studies expert content advisor is a campaign promise I made. Today, I kept that promise. I am excited for the state of Texas to retain the expertise of someone I believe to be the foremost American historian of our day. ... Thank you for your attention to this matter, because he's trying to imitate Donald Trump's tweets.
Doris Kern Goodwin wants a word about being a good historian. Fucking Robert Caro wants a word about being the foremost historian. What
By the way,
the fuck
David
is the
Barton
matter with these people?
Is not any credible person's idea of a foremost American historian. He's literally not a historian, much less a prominent one. He's an ignorant person's idea of a smart person because he sounds like he has read books. But as any lazy student who's ever written a book report at the last second could tell you, just because you reference books in a report doesn't mean you understand any of them. But he's a confident bullshitter, and that's why Republicans like him. He doesn't just lie, he repeats the lies even after they've been debunked, because he knows damn well he has to keep his narrative going if he wants access to power.
I'm also a very good bullshitter, but I try to use my powers for good, not evil, like David Barton does. Well, I guess it depends on what you think good is, and if making...
Fighting with people in Chili's.
First of all, it's in a Japanese restaurant where I usually fight with people, or Hooters, which, by the way, I thought my brand was absolutely fucked when Hooters filed bankruptcy and a bunch of listeners reached out to me to make sure I was okay. I thought that meant my brand was absolutely fucked, and then fucking Ryan Walters steps down, and now that's my brand, apparently, is the woman who just, has it out for Ryan, which is fine.
You need a new nemesis now.
I do. Oh, I mean, David Barton. I could always take on David Barton.
Forever.
Michael Shermer used to be my nemesis. What's he doing? Is he in that Saudi Arabian comedy festival or whatever?
He is pushing his own brand of right-wing conspiracy theories these days.
Oh, man. Shermer.
All right.
So many white men nemesis, so little time.
I'm jumping to a different story here.
All right.
This involves a junior high basketball team. We're going all in on kids sports this week.
Why do we care about
There is
sports
a guy
so
named
much?
Logan McCourtney. He is a youth pastor at Dallas Avenue Baptist Church in Arkansas. And so this guy's a youth pastor at this church. He's also a junior high boys basketball coach in a public school near where he works. And neither of those things would be an issue on their own.
What state are we in again?
Arkansas.
Oh, boy.
None of this would be a problem unless he tries to merge those two worlds.
And he doesn't do that, and we're talking about a different thing.
That's right. So
he
basically,
cured cancer.
not only did he merge those two worlds, he then went on in his pulpit and then he bragged about doing it.
Oh, boy.
And I will tell you what he said. He basically said that he was in the school's library and he overheard a girl asking the librarian, hey, do you have recommendations on books that are full of mystery and suspense. And he decided to jump into this conversation. Here's what he said. I just jumped in. I was like, I don't really care. You can fire me. I don't care, right? Hey, where's Todd? He's on the school board. Make sure it doesn't happen.
But what's happening right now to me? This is him telling the story in the pulpit.
Talking to the church.
Okay.
Apparently a school board member is part of his congregation.
Sure.
He's like, hey, you're on the school board. Make sure I don't get fired over this. Then he goes on.
And then I'm going to make a fireable offense.
This girl was asking the librarian. She's like, hey, I'm looking for like a book. It's got mystery and suspense. And so I was like, I got you, sister.
If this motherfucker says the Bible, I'm going to be furious.
I said, are you looking for something that's romantic? Something that has suspense, thrilling? There's some murders in there. There's redemption and there's a hero. And she said, where do I find it? It's right over there. It's the Bible. And then I just walked out and I was like, then he does an imitation of a golf swing. I just teed off on that one, and I was like, thanks, librarian. I'm so thankful. But seriously, wait, I'm finishing this. Seriously, like, God just provided that opportunity. I mean, I know the girl, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, if you're looking for a book, I can show you one, right? And so I just want to encourage you.
What the fuck?
I just want to encourage you. Are they always that easy? Not necessarily, right? But I do want to encourage you. The opportunities are there all the time.
If you're going to lie, at least tell an interesting story. You know what I mean? Like, that was the most, like, and that student was Albert Einstein story I've ever heard. And also, the only reason I think it might be true is because he just walked out and assumed he nailed it. Like, do you know that girl just stopped and like looked at the librarian? The librarian's like, he does this all the time.
Yeah. The book you want is on this other shelf.
It's actually a Nora Roberts murder mystery. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
First of all, I've never heard
You were looking for Captain Underpants. It's in the aisle
I've
over
heard
here.
it called the greatest story ever told because Christians love to say that. I've never heard it referred as a mystery or a romance. And I would love... So mystery must be the mystery of the crucifixion or the resurrection? That must be the mystery.
What is the mystery? Where's his body at? Like, what are we trying to solve here?
And now the romance piece of it. Is this the woman who turns into salt?
That would be the incest, I assume.
I liked my salt joke better. I mean...
Also, it's such a horribly written book.
It's so boring.
Don't make a kid read it.
First of all, it's not a novel. It's a religious text. Like, this man, these people are so fucking delusional that he thought that this girl marched over to the religious section, pulled out like, oh, a Bible. I've never heard of this. I live in Arkansas where there are no Bibles around. Thank God the gym teacher recommended this to me, which, by the way, I'm remembering now my junior high gym teacher, everybody had in the library, everybody had to like do a picture of their favorite book. And his was hell of the Bible. And also he was the guy that all the other students warned each other about because he was a little weird.
Yeah. So the Freedom from Religion Foundation sent a letter to the district saying, make sure employees are not violating the rights of students by proselytizing.
Also, teach them how to tell a better story.
Yeah. And she said, you can't let this guy promote his religious beliefs. Please remind all your employees of their duty to adhere to the Constitution.
Just fucking not for once.
And that's it. They did, by the way, to our earlier story, they did not send out a press release saying, oh yeah, we stopped this big problem.
We prevent Christianity from taking over Arkansas?
Now, maybe you listen to all that and you're thinking, okay, it's not a huge deal.
To me?
He didn't force his religion upon this student, but it's not a harmless slip up. This is a staffer, a volunteer coach anyway.
Who's bragging.
Exploiting his role at a public school to push his faith onto children who may feel pressured to go along with it. Like, first of all, the Bible is available to kids if they want to read it. Staffers have no business telling them they should for non-academic reasons. And they sure as hell should not be taking a public victory lap after accomplishing nothing. And by the way, not only did he cross a line, he flaunted it. He boasted about it. He encouraged everyone in his congregation to do what he just did.
He did a pantomime golf swing, you know it was cool.
And he knew a school board member was in the congregation. He's like, hey, you got my back on this, right? I'm going to be fine,
and
right?
And the guy was like, yeah, buddy, you're doing such a good job. That was a really good story you told.
So I will say,
I liked how true it was.
Listen, I don't think he needs to be fired over this. I'm not going that far, but he does need to accept that he screwed up, promise to never do it again, and admit that he would not be okay with it if an atheist or Muslim did exactly what he just did with their preferred books. And if he can't do those things, and if the district is not going to reprimand him for that, then he has no business working at the public school in any capacity, even if it's volunteer or a small stipend that he gets for being a volunteer coach or for being a coach. Again, I don't think he needs to be fired. I think he's just dumb and he doesn't know how bad what he did is. So all I'm asking, hey, school, tell this guy never again.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it. That's all that has to happen.
And that was it?
I would be fine with it. That's it for now.
Okay.
That's it for now.
That guy sounds like a real fucking dum-dum. I'll tell you what.
Based on the sermon that I watched, yes.
Oh, boy.
Let me jump to another story that is much more serious, and I don't know how seriously to take this, but okay. We talked about this maybe a couple years ago, and we haven't updated it since, but there was a big update recently. There is a Hindu sect. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it because it's a long Indian word and I'm going to be racist when I get it wrong. But the initials are BAPS, BAPS. And basically this sect of Hinduism is best known, I would argue, for having temples around the United States and elsewhere, but in the US, and their temples are beautiful. They're huge. They are ornate. There is one not far outside of Chicago. My family is not Hindu, but we drive past this thing. And there have been times where even my parents are like, we're making a stop here because it's so beautiful. Damn beautiful.
Where is this that you're talking about? Because I know there's a lot of
outside of Chicago is all I got. But they have several in the U.S. And they were building the biggest one in Robbinsville, New Jersey. And in 2021, when they were in the process of building it, it made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Because there was a federal lawsuit filed that year. And basically, what the lawyers were saying is, we represent some of the people working on building this temple. And we are suing the denomination for forced labor practices.
Oh, no.
And what they said is, you brought in dozens of low caste workers.
No.
You brought in dozens of low caste workers from India. You paid them roughly $1.20 an hour. You forced them to live on temple property. Like, you brought in 200 people to work on this facility. Now, only 6 of them were named in the lawsuit. But according to the lawsuit, this is what it said. They were brought to the United States on religious visas, ... and presented to the U.S. government as volunteers. Lawyers, this is from an article.
They brought them in from out of country. It's not like, oh boy.
Yes. Lawyers for the men said they did manual labor on the site, working nearly 13 hours a day, lifting large stones, operating cranes and other heavy machinery, building roads and storm sewers, digging ditches and shoveling snow, all for the equivalent of about $450 a month. That's where you get the $1.20 from. They were paid $50 in cash, with the rest deposited in accounts in India. So that's the accusation in the lawsuit.
That's fucking rough.
Federal agents then raided that property in May of 2021, and they removed about 90 workers from the site.
90?
Because we're wondering if you're doing anything criminal here now. The temple denied any wrongdoing. Okay, so we got 2 different things going on.
Yeah.
There's a lawsuit over like a civil case here, and there's also this potential criminal investigation going on.
Okay.
And there's the political angle to all this now. Because
we're getting into human trafficking territory here.
So, as the New York Times put it at the time, the BAPS sect has strong ties to India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is a Hindu nationalist. Modi spoke at the funeral for the denomination's spiritual leader a few years prior to that raid. And to please Modi, this is a thing that happened in 1992. There was a really famous Islamic mosque in India that was destroyed by Hindu extremists. And to please Modi, the BAPS organization said, we'll build you a new temple on that space, but it's one of ours.
Oh, yikes.
So not great. So this civil lawsuit's going through the legal system. It hits some snags. More plaintiffs are added. Some of those guys who were named in the lawsuit as the workers, they said we were duped into joining this lawsuit.
Oh.
But again, other people get added to it. But because the government was investigating potential criminal actions, the lawsuit was just put on hold for years until the government could complete that inquiry.
So the civil lawsuit was put on hold because
Basically,
the government was like, we need to make sure.
Right, we're going to do our job. This is under the Biden administration.
Okay.
Let us take care of this. So the lawyers for the lawsuit are like, we can hold off while that's happening.
Okay.
So apparently, a couple weeks ago, BAPS officials learned the federal investigation was done.
Ooh.
Or
What?
they learned the DOJ no longer gives a shit. Yeah. And
Well, that feels more realistic.
BAPS North America released a statement saying the case is closed and no criminal charges would be filed. Here's what they said. The BAPS denomination in the United States welcomes the decision by the U.S. Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of New Jersey to close their investigation of BAPS and the creation of this temple. The U.S. government's decision to end this investigation sends a clear and powerful message in support of what our organization has maintained from the outset, that this temple, a place of peace, service, and devotion, was built through the love, dedication, and volunteer service of thousands of devotees from all walks of life. Now, to be clear,
I'm shocked that the Trump administration didn't want to arrest a bunch of brown people.
I mean, you had the chance, right? But there's another reason maybe. But to be clear, the temple doesn't say we did not use cheap labor. They're just saying the DOJ is no longer looking into us. And I wonder, again, hypothesizing here, Trump has an affinity for autocrats. Trump likes autocrats like Modi. And you have to wonder if we're not going to look into this, is his way of currying favor with Modi. I mean, it's speculation, but it doesn't seem out of the question. And now the question is, okay, well, what happens to that lawsuit that was put on pause? Because even if the Department
of civil case has nothing to do with it.
That's a different situation altogether.
Yeah.
If the DOJ's investigation is done, and by the way, we don't know what their conclusions were. They didn't issue anything. Does that mean that lawsuit can continue? We don't know. And by the way, that temple was completed in 2023. Since then, advocates for the temple have defended everything, saying the workers' service is being misinterpreted. They were volunteers. They were doing this out of love for the faith. And Religion News Service, respectable outlet, they published an article about this. And check out this passage. Yogi Trivedi, a scholar of Hinduism at Columbia University and BAPS practitioner, said cultural and religious mistranslation has complicated the labor allegations. And he basically said, when I saw thousands of, they're called sevaks, give so much of their life to essentially move their families here to come and serve, I couldn't but feel remorse at the fact that their service was misinterpreted, or the concept that drove them to be the way they are now is being misunderstood. Basically saying they wanted to come here. They want to give their time. It's like Mormons going on their 2-year missionary trip. They want to do that. And it's like, okay, you're saying all these people came here to work on this temple because they have a devotion to the faith. But also, I just want to, the lawsuit that was filed said this. At the Robbinsville Temple and elsewhere, workers were prohibited from speaking with outside visitors to the temple. Failure to obey this rule would result in workers' meager pay being reduced even further, the workers being sent back to India, or other disciplinary action. At times, supervisors told the workers that the police would arrest them if they left. One worker on a visa died while he was subjected to forced labor at the Robbinsville Temple.
Whoa.
Goes on to say, at the Robbinsville Temple and elsewhere, temple leadership did what they could to remind these marginalized workers of their place in the social hierarchy. One defendant, for example, called the workers worms, thus exacerbating the psychological coercion the workers experienced. Now, if allegations like that are shown to be true in court, that would certainly defeat the narrative that all these people were all doing their jobs willingly and voluntarily.
Yeah, I would also love to hear one of the workers say that they're there willingly and voluntarily.
I mean,
somebody observing the situation.
Show me the hostage video or something.
Exactly. Show me today's newspaper.
There's a large Hindu group called the Hindu American Foundation. Their executive director chimed in recently, basically calling this whole thing a witch hunt, celebrating the end of the DOJ's investigation, saying the BAPS community was, quote, forced to endure false, horrific allegations of forced labor and casteism. I mean, but were the allegations false? Or are people just interpreting them through rosy religious glasses? Because again, if you're saying they wanted to be there, they're doing this out of devotion, and you're saying, well, they weren't paid right, so it's unfair, but they wanted to do that. Again, Mormon
this feels very, very, very culty cults generally need some sort of source of income. So oftentimes you see the cult members are made to make all this shit and do whatever and keep them exhausted so they can't fight back.
Right.
And
hello, Scientology.
And truly, but I wasn't even thinking of Scientology, but and even if you asked these people, especially if you ask them like on the site in front of their boss, I'm sure they're gonna be like, no, I love being here. And then they're like sneaking a little piece of paper into the person's like, it's like fucking Jonestown when they're like, actually, dude, we hate this. Can we
don't
please
know about
leave?
this Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
And again, some of these temples, they may appear to be monuments to Hindu devotion, but the lawsuit says it's built on the suffering of marginalized people. And so all I'm hoping is I hope that case now continues because I'm not trusting the Trump administration to deal with it.
No.
And so I hope this goes on. I'm not surprised the Trump administration doesn't want to look into this further, but maybe that's because they know if they do, they might offend their ideological allies in India.
It's so wild for me to think about Trump trying to kowtow to India. Like, I don't know why. It just seems so unlike his deeply racist bullshit normally.
Yeah, there are certain brown people he doesn't like, but he wins a lot more Indians than he does other people of color. Because they're usually wealthier. They're usually prone to, but we're the good ones.
Come and get your boys.
Mm-hmm.
That's your responsibility. Remember how I was saying I'm going to take more responsibility for white people behavior?
I promise you there's a whole subculture of brown people who are very mad at the bad brown people. That's true of any community I know. But
yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Wow. Too
No.
bad. God, that shit's so sad.
Yeah.
A guy died.
Yeah.
To what end? To what end?
It is a beautiful temple everywhere.
I mean,
isn't it worth some enslaved labor?
People died building
for
the
things
Brooklyn
I can
Bridge
look at and post on
Hoover
Instagram.
Dam, but at least they're like, oh, that's bad. We should try to make things safer in the future, and not like, no, they died because they just loved too hard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I got one last update for you. This should be a quick one, but we talked about this a while back. Remember that West Virginia in 2022, after COVID, Biden administration passed the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan Act. And West Virginia's Water Development Authority got $250 million.
This is truly one of the strangest stories.
Yeah, and they could use $250 million to build infrastructure in their state. And that would be distributed through something called the Economic Enhancement Grant Fund. None of these names are that important. Okay. But basically what it meant is West Virginia, you can apply for a grant to build things like a water system, a sewer system, stormwater system, or other projects that may not even be water related, but are infrastructure related. And the government of West Virginia could say, yeah, to your group, your grant application was good. We'll give you this money that was handed to us to make our lives better. That was the idea. And when the agency released grant recipients 1 year ago in October, one of them raised eyebrows because they gave their largest grant, $5 million, to the College of St. Joseph the Worker, which is a private Catholic trade school in Ohio.
In Ohio is the wildest part of this. Yeah. Like, yes, the water money should not be spent on a Christian school. Yeah, but certainly not in Ohio.
Yeah. Now, you could argue maybe it's okay because they share a border. Maybe they're working on secular water related trade school projects that are going to benefit the state of West Virginia. You could make that argument.
Is there a land shortage in West Virginia that I'm unaware of? Because I feel like they have some space to play with.
There are trade schools in West Virginia. There are people in West Virginia who could do the work.
Yeah.
Why aren't you giving it to those groups? I don't know. But anyway, the thing is, if you read the grant application that the school submitted, it doesn't make any sense why they would get this money. Because
they were awarded it.
They were awarded this money. By the way, they don't have a track record. The school had just opened up that fall.
That's right.
And it's not, so they didn't have a track record of success.
They even had anybody enrolled.
Yeah, their entire building is next to an auto repair shop.
Oh.
Like, it's a random, like, strip mall sort of college, which, again, is fine, maybe. This is not against trade schools. This is against this one trade school. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Why are they getting all this money? So it seemed like this Christian Catholic college was tapping into West Virginia's bank account with money intended for infrastructure.
Yeah, the wealthy state of West Virginia.
In order to build up their private religious school. But when a reporter got a hold of the grant application, what he found is, why do they want $5 million? And by the way, if anyone's ever applied for a grant, you apply for $5 million, you shouldn't be getting $5 million. But they said, what did you ask for the $5 million for? And it said, we want over $2 million to create a construction and real estate development company in West Virginia, but we're going to own it. Okay, you want to build a business in West Virginia? All right.
But owned by
us, the Christian school. We want $1.6 million, a little more, to recruit West Virginia students with scholarships and dorms. Because we're going to train them, and then some of them, who knows, might move back.
Might find their way back to West Virginia.
Because if there's one thing you know about rural red states, it's that when you go to college, everyone comes back.
Everyone comes straight back.
They wanted $200,000 to create a second campus in West Virginia. And they wanted $1 million for advocacy activities.
Ooh.
What activities? Well, they wanted to build a research facility called the Center for the Common Good.
Oh, that's right.
To support broadly life-affirming policy in West Virginia, which is fancy way of saying we want $1 million to promote anti-abortion shit in your state.
Wow.
So that was the grant application.
Wow.
Okay, and they got all the money.
Rubber stamped.
So anyway, college officials, they had literally planned to invest like $10 million in expansion, but that's a lot of money for them. They don't have any money.
Yeah.
And now half of that money is coming from West Virginia taxpayers, really, or taxpayers in general.
How is this legal?
The $5 million grant was more than the entire school's net worth. It didn't make any sense. And when reporters asked West Virginia officials about like the pro-life advocacy shit, they just didn't get any answer to it from the government officials. And so anyway, that's what we talked about a year ago. Now, the American Humanist Association, with help from the ACLU of West Virginia, they sued the organization overseeing the grant process earlier this year. And in that lawsuit,
that feels like the correct.
They basically said, hey, we have members in West Virginia that we represent and they need access to clean water.
Yeah.
They said in their lawsuit, tens of thousands of West Virginians wonder each day where they will get clean water as it does not run out of the taps in their homes. And you're basically wasting money on this religious shit. It violates the Establishment Clause. And because it's funded by taxpayers, if you're using taxpayer funding to help a Catholic school achieve its faith-based goals, you're violating the state constitution. And the document said the agency did this, quote, intentionally, knowingly, willfully, wantonly, maliciously, and in reckless disregard of the constitutional rights of West Virginians.
Yes.
The other thing we talked about last time we mentioned this is that the case was assigned to a circuit court judge named Richard Lindsay, who had just been elected in November, and this is one of his first big cases. And for the 4 years prior to this, he was like one of the only Democrats in the state Senate. He lost his reelection bid, and then he became a judge. So he didn't have a track record.
Right.
But it's like, well, if anyone heard this case, I think I'm glad it's this guy.
Yeah.
So in July, we had an update.
Okay.
Which is that the judge said, just from the bench, I'm not going to write this on paper, but he basically said, hey, the West Virginia Constitution says you can't use public funds to support religious education and advocacy. So I'm giving the Water Development Authority, that group, I'll give you 30 days to prove to me you are adhering to the Constitution. I'll give you a chance to explain yourself here because it doesn't look good.
Good luck and God bless.
But he did say, look, the $1.6 million meant to expand Catholic education and the $1 million for like pro-life advocacy, that's not okay. That's promoting religion.
Yeah.
But the rest of the grant, which is that construction company and a second campus, maybe you could argue that's legal if you could show me how this helps water infrastructure
in West Virginia,
as opposed to Catholicism. You can make an argument that building a second campus here will help us with trade education, and we're training West Virginian, even if it's a Catholic school, we are training kids in the trades.
Sure.
And that's good for West. You can make a secular argument for that. So I will give you 30 days to do that.
Yeah.
So in theory, based on what the judge said, the Catholic school could have still come out with quite a bit of money if they could show we were using it for secular purposes and not to advance our faith.
So it's 30 days they
That's
had.
where we were at in July.
So what did they come up with?
So they went back and forth on this, and the judge just issued last week his final ruling on the matter, and it's so much worse than I thought it would be.
Oh, no.
Basically, he said, the school has assured everybody none of the grant money is going to advance their religious mission or go toward religious advocacy. So I guess they can have all $5 million.
Well, that fucking sucks.
Seriously, he said the grant defendants, the Water Development Authority, produced to this court an amended invoice from the college stating that the grant will be used only for the purposes of real estate acquisition, site development, construction, infrastructure improvements, blah, 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 in compliance with the law. And they have acknowledged none of this money can be spent on religious advocacy, nor can the college spend the grant money on teacher or instructor salaries or anything that's not part of the infrastructure.
Now, whose job is it going to be to make sure that they...
let's assume someone has to watch over this and make sure it happens.
I'm not assuming fucking anything.
He included in the ruling a letter from the college that almost, I read it, it feels like a joke. Basically, they said, Exhibit A, product description. They basically say, hey, look, instead of that long, lengthy grant application that said, here's what we want to use every dollar for, and it said all that shit about like $1 million for advocacy, for anti-abortion stuff, now it just says the project consists of acquisition, construction, and equipping of multiple education facilities for the in-class and on-site training of the 5 major construction trades of HVAC, carpentry, masonry, electrical, and plumbing, materials for training, and anything we need to make that stuff happen.
Do you think carpentry is just Christianity, but they're like, wink?
Yeah. So like constructing a new campus that benefits the school? Sure. But also, here's what I took away from that. Okay, you're going to spend $5 million on, let's say, secular trade training.
But you already know that they're coming in with a secondary mission.
But they also had the money to do that stuff. That's kind of what they were built for. Well, now they don't have to use the money for a new campus because they can just shuffle their previous pocketed money to stuff they really want to do. Like all they are doing now is reshuffling their budget. Like, hey, you know how we allocated $1 million here and $1 million there for stuff that was promoting religion? Well, now that we have $5 million coming, and we also had $1 million for like resources to help kids become tradesmen and things like that. We don't have to use that $1 million because now we have money from West Virginia coming in. So now we can
open up a satellite campus for
and we
just
can do
good
other
Catholics.
shit. Like now they can shuffle around a giant pool of money, and money that they had saved up to use for trades can now be used for advocacy. Just the $5 million they're getting from West Virginia cannot be used for that stuff.
Patreon.com/friendlyatheist podcast.
Here's what I don't get. The original grant application should have been rejected the moment it was sent in. And instead, the school got a do-over. Then they promised they'll do things by the book. They signed on to a completely different and very vague application. And West Virginia is like, yeah, we're fine with this. And the judge is like, well, there's nothing wrong with the revised application, I guess. So I guess you can have everything. And the college is very much celebrating this.
Of course.
The president said, this is a win for the Ohio Valley, followed by, this is a win for West Virginia.
I mean.
Yeah. The fact that a Catholic college in Ohio is building a second campus in West Virginia, and they're counting that as a win, is ridiculous when you realize how much of that money could have gone directly to West Virginia infrastructure projects if a more responsible organization got that money instead. And by the way, none of this is the fault of the American Humanist Association because they filed the lawsuit, but their press release bugged me a little bit because I don't think they're as mad as I am.
Well, yeah.
Their headline was, after court declares that the grant to Ohio Religious School was unconstitutional, no funds to be spent on religious education.
Ooh, that is not the victory you think it is, guys.
Because the judge said your original grant application was unconstitutional, but the revised version is fine. It's like, yeah, I know, but I thought when I read that, I'm like, oh, the school's not getting any of the money. No, it's good news, the AHA says, because the school's getting all the money. They're just not using it for religious purposes.
Wink.
Which I get. But also, I think you're focused on the wrong thing, maybe.
Also, maybe we should start giving these people the benefit of the doubt, American Humanist Association.
Yeah.
And like,
I don't think they were doing that. I think they were trying to spin this as good news.
Yeah, but it's not.
And they're not declaring a victory, but they are saying, the quotation from their director said, "We're satisfied that the court found the original grant unconstitutional, ... We continue," then they go on to say, "we continue to question the wisdom of offering any subsidies to a religious school that could easily have its building costs footed by the Catholic Church, one of the world's wealthiest religious entities, while West Virginia families still struggle to access clean water and other basic needs." And that is true.
Honestly, though,
but then don't be satisfied.
That should be the headline. That should be what they are leading with. Like,
yes,
hey,
lead with that.
Catholicism, the richest group of people, decided they're not going to just sell one of their gold thrones to pay for a school. They're going to take the money out of the pockets of some of the poorest citizens of the United States, who, by the way, live in an area that was absolutely decimated by industry. It used to be a thriving community, and now it is a test ground for pharmaceutical companies. So and more people need to be mad about this.
Yeah. And so the AHA is like, they actually did agree that church-state separation I'm paraphrasing, that church-state separation needs to be protected. And the judge says, yeah, you have to support church-state separation. That's what they're counting as a win. And I get that. That's what they were fighting for.
Yeah.
But also, there's no reason the Catholic school can't just do whatever the hell it wants to do now. And that's bad news. And again, I don't know if the judge is necessarily doing the right or wrong thing, but I don't know why the judge couldn't just say, well, the original grant application says this, so by that logic, they shouldn't get the money.
I don't believe you. I don't know.
Why are you? By the way, the stated mission of the St. Joseph the Worker College is, quote, to serve the church, which to me, you would argue that anything this college does has a religious purpose, even if you're arguing it's a secular thing in another context. So like, I don't know. Their mission is not to serve the people of West Virginia.
No, so well, obviously not, because they're serving the people of Ohio.
That's what should have prevented them from getting any tax dollars.
Am I the crazy person here that maybe, like, Catholicism aside, maybe grants for West Virginia should stay in West Virginia? Am I the idiot here?
Clearly.
Fuck.
Anyway, frustrating result there, but I don't know, is it?
I listened to a very interesting podcast about the Hatfields and McCoys, and they drew
another one.
Oh no, I'm just re-bringing up the only one I've listened to. But there was a wow, you do pay attention when I talk sometimes. But there is a very interesting theory that that's been floated, that essentially the Hatfield and McCoy story, which if you're not American, was this like two dueling families and they're feuding and they're animals and killing each other, was basically taken and run with by like northern newspapers, so that when, Philadelphia Oil or what the fuck ever was like, hey, we're going to go ahead and blow up this part of the country. But don't worry, because the people who live there, you've heard about them, the Hatfields and McCoys, they're animals. Don't worry about them. They don't deserve nice land because they're so crazy. We, the smart, rich white people, deserve it because we have good, wholesome values like blowing up mountains for oil. Anyway, I just think that all of this is part and parcel for like this hatred of poor people in this country. And it bums me out on my birthday, you bum me out on this day.
My job is to bum you out every day.
I know.
You can go to patreon.com/friendlyAtheistPodcast. Leave us a review on the iTunes and everywhere else.
I have no idea where my phone is.
And I hope you're still watching this video on Patreon. Go do that if you're not already.
I feel like we have some focus issues that I cannot figure out why they're happening. So if you are on Patreon, go ahead and send us a message. Let us know what you think. What should we do better or worse? Should I be closer to the camera? Further from the camera? Less yelling, more yelling?
There you go.
What are we going to talk about in bonus?
We're going to talk about Ezra Klein.
Uh-oh, what did he do?
Stuff.
Okay.
And other things. because I didn't watch anything this week.
Okay.
We will see you in the bonus.
Aren't you
what
gonna
else
ask me
is there?
what we're going to fucking talk about?
You have stuff?
Yeah, I started.
I didn't see anything written down.
Well, it's because I keep things in my noggin. We're still figuring this shit out. No, I just started the biography of J. Edgar Hoover, and I'm really enjoying it so far. And tomorrow I leave for Kentucky. Saturday night I'm going to be in Lexington. There's like a haunted ghost tour thing. I don't know that we have anybody in Lexington who listens, but if you're around, feel free to drop by. We're just going to be booping around. But yeah, going to do that. Going to see some capybaras. Very excited. We'll see you in the bonus.
Yes, see you then.